properly?
Don't worry, we're going live in a few seconds.
Well, I want to turn off the phone.
Yeah.
Power off. Power off. Phone off. Good.
Brilliant. Okay. Yay, we're live.
You're
Okay.
live. Good to be here.
Finally. It was
Finally.
so before we went on live, I said to Vincent, look, don't worry, we'll come on like 15 minutes in the unlikely event that there's going to be
Yeah.
any
And there was a likely event. It
Vincent,
happens. It
Vincent, I'm
happens sometimes.
seriously excited. Thank you so much for being here today. It really is a privilege. Guys, if you don't know Vincent, I mean, who doesn't by this point? But Vincent is an author and a campaigner. He's helped thousands of families, separated families in family court. He's won 5 ombudsman inquiries, including a parliamentary investigation against Kafkas.
3.
Three. Jeez.
2 into Kafkas.
And so apart from being a campaigner, a paid up member of the Awkward Squad.
Oh, top level.
Right, I know, right? But he's also now come out with a book. Vincent, this arrived yesterday.
Lovely.
I read it cover to cover.
Hope you weren't too bored.
So I'm not going to give too much away. Well, I sort of am, sort of not. But throughout this, I'll be honest.
I have one as well.
Funny that, isn't it?
Exciting. Same book.
I read it cover to cover, and what I loved it, Vincent. I honestly did.
Thank you.
I thought it was honest, frank, practical. There were moments that I didn't expect to laugh out loud. I properly lolled. There were
You
bits.
could cry as well sometimes.
Oh, it was just a big mix, and I loved the forwards as well.
They were quality. Absolute quality.
Absolutely amazing.
People have sometimes asked me, what's the writing like in the book? And I just say, some of it is stunningly brilliant. That's the forewords, written by others, not mine. But the forewords are amazing. Erin Pitsey, who hardly needs introduction. I mean, only she could write that foreword.
Right.
Louis de Bernier. I mean, when you talk about writing, I mean, Captain Coriolis, Mandolin author and the like. And I have to say, Martin Daubney, ex-MEP, he seriously got his act together on that. Yeah, he's not just a clown, as I often tell him. And also, I'm deeply indebted. I've had a lot of support with the book. I've had great support from William Collins on giving me his chapters and telling me do whatever I wanted with them. I mean, that's some trust. Same with Nick Langford, with the author of the excellent book on exercise and absolute futility. And their chapters give it such veracity that I wouldn't have, you see. I haven't got that all-encompassing intellectual search, rigor, and display. So, yeah, the book turned out much better than expected. And thanks to my better half, my fiancée, Sunita, for coming up with the idea on the front page, the scales. That
was her idea.
That was her idea, yeah. And I have to say, the more you look at it, the better it looks. Yeah. Now, that's not me. That's the picture, just in case you're confused. When you were introducing me there, which is a very kind introduction, just to clarify, I've had 5 ombudsman investigations, local government, 1 into Solicitors Regulatory Authority, 3 parliamentary, 2 of those were into Kafkas. I also kickstarted an Ofsted investigation into Children's Services in Brent, which found it to be surprisingly inadequate. And I also was, if you look at londonfathers.com, the website, on me presenting European Petitions Commission in November 2014, I was fairly pivotal in creating an investigation, the only one that's ever occurred, by the EU Commission into systemic failings in UK family court services. That's one of my happier moments in life. You can see it from the video if you go onto londonfathers.com website. But the reason why the book came about was because it did not matter how many successful investigations I had, how many parliamentary ombuds investigations, what success I had in Europe. It was invisible. I've contacted, I have them all in the book, about 70 different media outlets, journalists, etc. Only 2 responded. What's her name? Jane Moore. She sent me a pleasant letter because she has personal experience of this to a friend of hers. parental alienation. And surprisingly, Peter Hitchens sent me a handwritten note. Now, of all people, I mean, he and I are, but the point is, nobody in the mainstream media will touch this. It is verboten, because it's a combination of self-censorship, which is a brutal paranoia almost, fear, and the fear of being named as being a anti-feminist, anti-mother, or Jess Phillips standing up in Parliament shouting that you're a rape apologist. So it has them all silenced. When I contacted a lot of publishers, and so did Martin Dobney, when he used to be helping me. He seems to have gone a bit absent at the moment. Not totally. He mentioned me on Channel 5, Jeremy Vine, a week ago. But not one male publisher would even respond.
That's insane.
It's a deep source of embarrassment, and it's a deep factor in why the system is as bad as it is. Only the female publishers responded and engaged. To their credit, I've always said only women will bring about changes here. It won't be men. You probably know that quite well yourself. And eventually, I met Grosvenor House Publishing, and Becky Banning is assistant manager there, and she says straight away, let's push it on. No hesitation, no what if. There's too much information in here. Let's get it out. Yeah, what a contrast.
Yeah. But I want to go back a little bit because,
Yes.
In all of those amazing things that you've done, you would think on the surface that you'd be somebody steeped in academia, but your background is not, is it? So tell us a bit about your background.
Well, I left school in Northwest Ireland age 17 with what's called a leaving certificate, probably the equivalent of O-levels in this country. And I took it literally. It meant I could leave. So at the age of 17, I left Ireland and came to England to work for McAlpines for a few years. So I'm a qualified labourer, which is an exalted title to have. I also, because I love going broadside on forklift trucks, I'm the only person I believe in McAlpine history to be barred from all forms of vehicles apart from a wheelbarrow. In fact, I'm barred from all forms of wheeled vehicles. I beg your pardon. I can start a generator. They had good reason to do that. That's another story. Then I was a barman and a mechanic, because I grew up in a garage in Northwest Ireland. My mother's still alive. He has a load of old classic and vintage scrap, really. Some of it is good. And then I was in Birmingham, 76, 79, because I was into the motorbikes big time. See, there's a lot of racing in the UK, and it was a world hotbed of motorbike racing. And then I went back to Ireland for 5 years, got involved in racing there, became a barman because my motorbike seized, and the owner of the pub was up for drunken driving. I was a non-drinker, and my uncle was a sergeant prosecuting. So he got off, and I got a job in the pub. I meant to be there for 4 days. I was there for 3.5 years.
Wow.
So that gave me a good background in dealing with the public. It's a posh pub in the Phoenix Park called the Hole in the Wall. And then I left Ireland. That's another sad story, because I grew up in the border region, and then in the 80s, politically and all the rest, it was a disaster zone. So anyone who wants to know what it was like living in Beirut, I wasn't that far removed from it at times, with all the checkpoints, gun points. I stopped by every set of clowns with uniforms. And I came over to London in 85, because I've been here ever since. Desperate to become a motorbike courier and go back to racing. So I did get back racing. I was a motorbike courier for 13 years. And then, astonishingly, I became a house husband, which was totally, absolutely unexpectedly. Loved that. I was doing that for 9 years. And that came to a sudden stop because my ex-wife has issues, let's put it very politely, although a high-quality professional woman in many other regards. And when I wouldn't leave the family home and do as she demanded, she went to the local services. And I, in my naivety, of course, assumed that local services were staffed by professionals.
So naive.
I mean, I am absolutely convinced there's nobody more stupid than me entering this business. In 2007, I didn't have a mobile phone. I had no desire to have one. I'd never been on a computer. I had no desire to be on a computer. All right. I was not interested. I was busy working, looking after the children, had a small workshop. We were looking after, at that stage, 3 properties, including her workplace. And I was so busy, I wasn't interested in all this gossip. And then to my astonishment, I found myself getting a load of court orders one morning. There was 5 orders in it, and they're all obtained ex parte. I didn't even know what that was. I meant without notice. And through the court and other measures, I found out the principal evidence against me, which was that I had, in the presence of the mother and the children, causing them great terror and pain, repeatedly kicked the family dog and then killed it.
I'm laughing because I know what comes next.
And the sad thing, this was processed in Brent Domestic Violence Agency, which is Women's Aid, and a satellite there is called BDVAP, Brent Domestic Violence Advocacy Project, Stoke Advance. And their constitution and practice is only to assist female survivors of domestic abuse. And they organised a case conference and a marriage process, multi-agency risk assessment conference, where only the verdict on the evidence received in secret is brought. And the case conference had my ex-wife's business partner, members of her staff, her work colleagues. I mean, it embarrasses kangaroos, I would say. But when we got the evidence out later on via court orders, we discovered that this dog was center page. This phantom dog. We never had a dog. So if we had a dog, I might have kicked it in the butt on occasions. We never even had a dog to kick, let alone kill. But Shadow, as my family promptly called him, because of a wicked sense of humor, Shadow got 2 pages. And I was barred from seeing the children until I had done suitable courses for engaging with my extreme psychotic violence. And that people who kick and kill animals and torture them are very likely to do the same to humans. And my ex-wife was on helicopter alert from the Metropolitan Police because of the likelihood of being killed by me, based on the evidence received of what I'd done to the dog that never existed. I mean, I laugh now. You know, you couldn't take it seriously. And that was the beginning of my introduction to this business. And all I knew, at that stage, I was living in a garage, but it was an integral garage in the house that I owned before the marriage, which wasn't far away from the family home. And I was crippled with arthritis because I had major problems. I've had big operations, and I'm much, much better over the last number of years. Born again teenager or child, adolescent. And I thought in the beginning, this is madness, it'll all get sorted out. See? So when we went to court, when I got to court, because I wasn't at the first court, because I didn't know about it, ex parte, the judge was very angry, and I thought to myself, this is good. But all the evidence was procured, and then I could see that the judge was a decent person, trying to get to the evidence and all the rest. So I thought, okay, we're going somewhere here. And a guardian was brought in, and that was a descent into hell. The guardian, the moment she saw me, it was like, first those things, magnetic poles, the ones that can't meet, straight away. First thing she told me is that I had not been the primary carer of my children, which I had been for over 9 years. And I had great support from family and friends. And because I was on a residents association, I had done a lot of work on CPZ, controlled parking zone and that, wheeling the kids around, collecting signatures and all the rest. I was very well known. I ended up with 54 witness statements. I had 19 about Shadow. I had 29 because we had councillors, police officers, a freeman of the City of London, even writing, because they all knew it as being absolute fact. And of course, I kept a few in reserve because I was afraid of some legal trickery, because I was unrepresented, that they would take them off me and not allow them to be used. The judge was quite happy with me getting whatever statements I wanted, I have to say. And the guardian invited me to a meeting, and that was a chapter in that in the book. And that was the worst occasion of my life. I did not realize pure, total bigotry until then. And in the meantime, I had a court order that the children could be with me for a week. This was in August 2007, and I had permission to take them to Ireland, which they'd been asking for all the time, which they had gone to every year. But the mother asked social services to help her break the court order, and they did. And that